Well, hello and welcome. My name's Penny. I live in the southeast of England, a little seaside town, with my husband Pete, who's, if you've one of my regular viewers know, he hasn't been at all well for a couple of months now. But I'm glad to say, well, I want to say we got him out of hospital last week. We were, as a family, we were so worried about him, and he really wasn't doing well. He had been transferred to another hospital, and that had lockdown due to flu. And so I hadn't seen him for a week, and we were all quite shocked when he came out last week. But this week at home, he's starting to fill out a little bit because he lost all his weight really. And as you know, he loves his food. He was a chef. Or perhaps you don't know if you're new. Yes, my husband was a chef, and he just loves to cook. Like we love to craft, he loves to cook. So I'll be glad when he's back to that, and he's in his kitchen and he's enjoying himself. At the minute, he's a little bit like a caged lion. I say, please don't move if I'm not with you, because I'm frightened with his blood pressure plummeting. He might, go down. No, he says, I'll wait for you. And then I just nip down to get Emily, and he hasn't waited for me. So it's just it's just adjusting, isn't it? Yeah, anyway, he's home and he's on the road. Let's put it this way, on the road to recovery. So here I have Emily. Emily, the emotional support chicken, and boy, have I needed her. I mean, she's got this constant smile on her face and a glint in her eye. I know, she's always just waiting to tell you a joke. And I love her, absolutely love her. My friend Helen of Mousy Makes, I hope you watch her, because boy, would you enjoy her videos, podcasts, all of that. I never know what it is. Her YouTube contribution. She's a very, very talented lady. And yeah, she knitted this in some wool that she knitted a jumper in that I always wore, a particular jumper, and she loved it, and she knitted it, and she loves it too. And this was the remnant, the remains of her ball of wool. Can you see Emily? She's got that smile. I just love her. She sits with me and I love her. So there we are. Thank you very, very much, Helen. She arrived in the post and Pete was thrilled. Oh, he said she's so cute. So that was lovely. Anyway, that's waffle. I'm good at waffling. That's why it's called Penelope's Chinwag, because that's what I do, waffle. However, at the minute, it's my 97th episode, and my friend said, come on, do it. And I said, well, what am I going to talk about? What am I going to do? So sometimes I do a little bit from the hamper, which is things that we've all got it, haven't we? A drawer of memories. Sometimes it's a fascinating fact. I haven't got one for this week, although I did watch Winter Watch. Any of you who've watched me from the beginning have watched my fascinating facts. Well, of course, unless you skip them. But, oh yes, Chris Peckham said, our researchers have found that the owl's wing, and went on to say what I told you quite some episodes ago about the owl's wing and how it's silent, and how they're adopting it for planes now so that it's quieter. I might sort that one out and put it up if I can. Not this week, because I haven't really got time. I'm not trusting Pete down there to wander about and get into trouble. So I'm just doing a little chat, and that's what it'll be this week. I'm going to show you what I've been making, because that's gone a bit potty. This Quilt As You Go lark has gone a bit potty for me this week, in a good way. And I know some of you have enjoyed it and thought, oh, I want to do that. That's what I want to do. So I'm going to show you what I've been doing, and not in this little chat. I'm going to make a little film and then put that up, and then I'll come back and say goodbye. So, oh yes, I've got to get that to show you. All these things to show you. So I sat in bed last night when I just had 5 minutes to myself. Pete wants to get up at 5 in the morning and go to bed about 12, which for me isn't, that's not my bedtime and that's not my getting up time. I don't mind pottering, but for him getting up and then going to bed, it's full on really. Yeah, it is anyway, let me just say that. So it seems like it should be the middle of the afternoon, but it's only about 11:15 in the morning. So it's my new regime at the moment. Anyway, last night in bed, I did just jot down a few things to tell you. Welcome to Emily. Welcome to you. And thank you, Helen. Okay, I'm going to show you in a little film what I've been up to this week and talk about that. I'll put my overhead camera up and then I can show you rather than showing you like this. You know, I think that would be better. It worked last time. I want to tell you about, well, shall I tell you that while I'm on the overhead? I'll tell you about that on the overhead. Okay. I'll tell you about that while I'm on the overhead and that. Oh, it was a full moon this week. So I've got a lovely camera that takes the moon. So at the end, there'll be, I haven't been out again. So yeah, haven't got any little film. But never mind, the film is of the full moon, and I took it, I didn't want to go out in the dark. I thought, keep safe. So I took it out of my bathroom window. So that's lovely. And also, on February the 6th, my little great-grandson was born last year. And it was a bit of a memorable day. It was. And the fact that my granddaughter went into labour in the evening and just about got there. She almost had baby in the car park, but managed to get on the bed. And we all thought it's a joke. My daughter messaged me and said, I think she sent me a photo, but I think it's a joke. She's got a doll in her hand. But it wasn't. She just literally out-popped the baby, which is how my two babies popped out. I've got two girls, Kim and Nicola. And we've got two girls, Pete and I, Kim and Nicola. And this is Georgina is Kim's daughter. And so George now, he was born on Feb the 6th. And I've got a couple of little videos she sent me just to keep me in touch, because I haven't seen her because of things. I think she's going to come down and see Pete, but probably be too much for him at the minute, bringing the children. So we'll see anyway. So there's a little video I'm going to share with you of George. And Mila now is 4. And you've seen Mila if you're a regular viewer. I've knitted her cardigans and put that up and, you know, all sorts of manner of things. So I'll put a little video of her. She's enjoying nursery at the minute. So she's going to big school in September. Because she was born in November, so it's nice you get those extra few months if you live in England. Okay. If any of you have got anything that you would like me to show you how to make, I mean, I can only show you my way. I can only show you, yeah, my way. It wouldn't be a tutorial as such. It would be, this is how I do it. If it would help you and encourage you. I'm going to talk a bit about what to make and how to make and what's the right and wrong way when I do my little film showing you what I've been making this week. So that'll come up in a minute. Ah, yes. I watched, there's two people I'm really enjoying watching. One I told you about last week, who gave me the idea, I put her name on screen, who gave me the idea of doing the tags. And so I've been doing a tag. I showed you my first 2, weeks 1 and 2, and I'm doing it intuitively, just how I feel. I'm not thinking about it. I'm just doing it. It takes me about half an hour, start to finish, and I think that's the best way sometimes. If you overthink things, it doesn't become spontaneous. It doesn't become, you know, that other word that I just said. And I can't remember what I just said now, but you know, you'll have heard it. Intuitive, that's it. I was a masseur. I used to do intuitive massage just where I felt the client needed it, and that worked very well. And then for 20 years, I was a counsellor for the NHS. There's the phone. Hang on. Well, that was the phone, and it was our GP, and he popped round to see Pete. He spent an hour with him, actually. And yes, it all went well, and things are going in the right direction, I'm pleased to say. But it took up the whole day. So at 7 o'clock at night, our GP phoned us and told us the results of the blood test that he had done that afternoon. It's an amazing service when it works, the National Health. So everything's going in the right direction, but it took the rest of the day, and that's what's happening at the moment, but I don't mind. So where was I? Oh, yes. So I'm going to, well, I don't know. Oh, I was telling you, I was a counsellor for the NHS. And so I think with crafting, it is about you. And so I suppose, bottom line, it takes confidence. You know, I've been talking to someone who's saying, oh, I don't know where to start, and oh, I don't know what's right, and I don't know what's wrong. And I don't think there is any right or wrong for crafters. We do what we want to do. But how do you know what you want to do? You might not like it at the end. Well, you won't do it again. You'll do something different. And that's the thing, really, isn't it? It's have a go. And I think that's what I did. As you know, I've made loads of quilts and, you know, all of that. I don't want to make another quilt at the moment. I don't want to make anything too big. And so I'm doing this quilt as you go. And I like it because as you know, as it's been said, each little piece is like a work of art. It's finished. It doesn't take you that long. Well, it can take you a long time if you choose to put something in that piece that's a bit more involved. That's up to you. You can just do what you want. That's what crafting's all about. So where to start? Start with what you've got. Get a kit. I've never been a one for kits because although it's lovely, it's all there, and you might fancy that. My daughter Kim, I taught her to quilt during lockdown, and she said, "Mum, I like a kit because it's hard to imagine what it'll be like, but then, and when you do a kit, you know what it's going to look like. But then that's part of the excitement, isn't it? And also." Well, I'm going to talk about that when I get the overhead camera and show you what I've been making this week. So I wonder where my notes are. I'll just get them. Yes. I'll do that when I'm on the overhead. Yes. Yep, that's it really. I think I've said all I want to say. So I'm going to put the little film up now of the tags I've done over the last 2 weeks, which is becoming like a diary for me. I think when Anne made them a couple of years ago, I put her podcast here, she did it for showing different stitches, different ways of just doing different things. But I'm doing it to reflect my week. And I'm finding that much better. I realised as soon as Pete became ill, I just haven't opened my journal. I just can't write it down. I just don't want to. And yet what I want to do is do something with my hands. So doing the tag is really the answer for me. So I'm going to say, I'll see you on the other bit of film that I'm going to record, and then I'll pop back and say goodbye. Right, I said I'd show you my tags. I've shown you week 1 and week 2 and week 3. What happened here? You see, I would forget. So I wrote it down on the back. It was very cold and icy, very cold and icy. So I had a walk along the beach. This is this fabric for the walk along the beach. And a gorgeous meal together with my friends Heather and Andrew, which was lovely. The doors of the hospital were shut. And I think this reflects the shut doors. How I felt not being able to see Pete and hearing him on the phone, so confused and so unhappy. It was so terrible not to see each other, especially when Pete was confused and coughing. Yes, because they were closed down because of the flu and he had it. But there's a rose for hope. He walked to the toilet once, then the ward lockdown. So things were starting to improve. He was able to walk a short distance. My 1970s Liberty dress. I made a dress and a little scarf. In those days, we used to wear a little headscarf. That's my 1970s Liberty dress, Our Young Lives. I don't know, I was just connecting with it, you know. Seemed like yesterday. And I found it in the box, so on that went. Just, yeah. And I needed an owl. Why? Because wisdom. I needed wisdom. What should I do? What could I do? And that's how I felt. So that's my week 3. Week 4. Home. Home. This is a Liberty print. Smiling faces. Yes. Yes. Up and down. High moments, low moments. Quite scary having someone come home from hospital when you're the nurse. And it's not my natural forte to be a nurse. But yeah, there we are. It's my job at the moment. Taking blood pressure, goodness knows what, worrying about him. But there we are. So that's to represent that. And I said, I hadn't seen PJ for a week. I lost trust in the hospital. Organised to come home on the 23rd. Elation and fear. He was so thin, sunken eyes, another man. 2 nights of delirium, but at the end of the week into a new routine. Eating, walking, using his walker. My son-in-law gave him a shower on Saturday and it was terrifying. I was absolutely scared stiff. Both of them were going to fall over. But anyway, it was okay. I was emotional and I was calmer because he was home. So that's to represent that. So we'll see what week 5 brings. Thank you for being interested. Thank you for letting me share. So they all go back on the ring. Right, I'm going to end this bit here. I'll see you later. Right, so if you remember, these were the first ones I did. And a viewer has said she loves my choice of fabrics. Who would have thought? You know, I just go with what you've got. Or buy some new and make it match. You've got the choice, haven't you? I am not buying any new. I've got 3 lovely suitcases, old-fashioned ones, lovely leather ones, and they look nice in the room. I've always had them. It's how I've always stored my fabric. However, things got a little bit out of hand, you know. I think they did for a lot of us, didn't they, with lockdown and, you know, all of that. And then I was looking after Mum and I just started being tempted here and there and getting this and getting that and making this and making that. And why not? It was lovely. It really was lovely at the time. But when I had my bedroom decorated, I went through everything. And now I'm back to my 3 suitcases. However, I had, because I save every scrap, every bit, I had I think it was about 2 large black sacks of bits of fabric. There were a few bits of fabric pieces of fabric that I didn't want, but not many, because when I buy fabric, I tend to want it. It was bits. My friend Heather, she is a prolific quilt maker. So I gave her these 2 black sacks of fabric bits. And I'm going to put up here what she made. And this is what she made. She must have just delved in, put her hand in, pulled it out, sewed it together. She's a machine. She likes to hand quilt, but machine it together. And this is what she sent me. This is a top I made with some of your fabric. She'll carry on using it all. So that's the thing, isn't it? Let's use what we've got. And I'm going to show you how I've done that with my other pieces. So here we go. You've seen these last week. I'm very pleased with them. Very pleased. And I know what I'm going to do with them. I didn't know these are what I did by Pete's bedside in the hospital. So portable, isn't it? And I know what I'm going to do. I've got this white table and I have a tablecloth over it. I'm going to sew this together to make a covering for the table, for the bedroom. So I shall keep making, I don't want to sew them together yet in case I want to change the position. But that's what I've got planned for this. And I shall just keep making until one day I lay it out and maybe start to sew it together. Now let me tell you what else I've been up to, because you've seen that. I wanted to show you this because I know, Helen, you said, oh, well, I'll just make I might just make one piece. Yeah, you can. And if you don't make it anymore, you can use it as to put your cup and saucer on. Yeah, but a lot of us use mugs now, don't we? And we don't use saucers. And I did this embroidery a long time ago. My friend, and again, with my embroideries, I haven't got loads of wall space, so I made a mat out of it. But then Pete put his cup of tea on it. So I've got that'll wash out. Pete put his cup of tea on it, and I said, no, that is not for tea. So that's in my bedroom now, just on the side, so I can look at it. I like it. Well, what happens if I do this? There we are. That's good, isn't it? You can see that was a kit, and it told you how to do the stitches, and I liked it. So again, that's what you can do with some cross stitch or embroidery. You can make them into mats. But then, of course, it's, oh yes, what happens if somebody puts their mug on it? Well, my friend in lockdown, Sonia, she sent me just a few bits of fabric and said, see what you can make with that. And this is what I came up with. I obviously like this. Well, this is English paper piecing. And this is because it was the fabric that Pete loves. He loves his walking. He loves his, countryside. I made this for him. And it's on his desk with his computer and his cups of coffee. You can see. This was now, he's 4 years old now. And he used it every single day. But I use this. Have you seen this? Eau-de-Cote. It's super. Waterproof gel adhesive. And the way you use it is they do give you a card with it, like a credit card. And you just put some on here. Credit card, swipe it all in. And then it all, you put it back in there. Put it on, keep wiping. Put it back in there, because you start with quite a bit. Keep wiping, put it back in there until really you can't see any, but it's all coated. I did it with a bag I made for Nicola, my daughter, and it worked very well because she is a childminder and always got everything going in that bag, and I wanted it so it would be wipeable. So that's Eau-de-Cote if you haven't seen it before. And this, can you hear it? Yeah, it's just got that covering on it so that he can put his coffee on. I'm realising now it needs a wash and I need to redo it after 4 years. But that is something you can do if, oh, see, that was another piece of fabric she sent me. So, yes, that was our challenge. And I sent her a few bits and said, see what you can make with this. And she came up with something. This is just another one I made. This is English paper piecing. I have shown you this before. This is my favourite fabric of all time. I bought it at Ali Pali, and it's like all of this. It's Liberty Tana lawn, but I've never seen this design again, and I would love to buy some more. But I just used it for here, and when I was going through all my scraps, I found a tiny little bit. And I've used it. So that started out with English paper piecing with the stars, and then the hexes, and then this little triangle here to fill in. And so you make that shape. Again, very small. You could make that to put your cup on, couldn't you, if you wanted to do something small. But the problem with that is then you've got to quilt it, and I don't find that easy with English paper piecing. I just went round those shapes. But that's what's so good about the quilt as you go. It's done. So I wanted to use up all the bits that I've got. And one of the things that were very dear to me was I bought my mum and dad 4 napkins from Windsor Castle. And Mum used them. Mum used them every single day. Always had a napkin and a serviette. And there was stains on it. Didn't matter. There was stains on it. What's that? That's sticky. Oh, that's come off the eau de coat, hasn't it? Okay. I'll just do my hands. Right. So, yes, I wanted to use the serviette. Of course, I didn't want to cut it up. But I decided it's time. What else are you going to do with it? It's just going to sit there, isn't it, on the table? And then you're going to think, oh, there's that stain on it. She's used it for years and years. So I took the plunge. Here's my 5-inch quilt as you go. Again, this was part of a quilt that I made, I think, for Mila. Cut your 5-inch. Do your roll over. And that's what I did. That was my first one. Oh, I was quite pleased with it. So I then decided just to have a look through. What else have I got? And I've got this. I'd cut out, I'll just get the bag. I made my mum an Anna bag. And there it is. And I cut out quite a few squares. I think I made somebody else once. She loved it. She came round every time she came round there. She had her slippers in there, her Scottish shortbread, notes for this, notes for that. She used that the whole time. The reason she liked it was because it was soft and light. Anyway, I found a whole load of squares that I'd cut out, ready to make another one. And I thought, I'll put that in a 5-inch square. They're only 2.5 inches, so they were a bit short. I didn't have room for a seam. So if you see, I just joined the seam like that. Little over. Did some French knots there. French knots there. Put a row of beads. My friend had given me some lovely beads. French knots here. Yeah, I think French knots on all of it. Just the beads down the centre. So that was another square. Okay, I thought I'd carry on. What shall I do next? Oh, I'll get some of my English paper piecing pieces, and I'll just make a few of those with the Tana lawn. And I put that on. I was pleased with it. I mean, who thought it was going to look like that? But I like it. Each piece, well, I was just a bit all over the shop, wasn't I? I didn't know which way I was going. I didn't know which way I was going. But, yeah, I was happy with it. Then I thought I'd do some of this, we used to call it crazy patchwork. But I think other people call it slow stitching. And I just literally took out small scraps. Let me show you. Small scraps. I mean, the smallest of scraps. All liberty again. You don't want to throw anything away, do you? And did a few French knots there. A few little beads there. Running stitch. This is called seed stitch because you never know where your seeds are going to end up, so it's just in any direction. Again, I sewed it onto the other piece of the napkin. I had that obviously bit left, so I just sewed that onto there. I use wadding in there, just a thin, you know, bamboo wadding, or I'm just using up a piece I've got. So you don't want it thick, do you? You just want a piece of, yeah, 80-20. So that's that. You can use what you've got. I mean, that's the point of it, isn't it? Then, what was my next one? Oh, this was my next one. I just got a piece of fabric, another little scrap, and I just quilted from the corner. Just sat and quilted. Every 1/4 of an inch. I just got a piece of English paper piecing, you know, hexie. Found this that went, small scrap. Just reminded me of the family, you know, Pete and me and the girls. And so I didn't realise it when I was stitching it, but looking back, I think that's what it was all about. And so there's another square. Okay. Then I thought, I've seen it on YouTube. You just get strips. Mine are all different widths. I mean, I didn't even bother to cut. I couldn't be bothered. I couldn't even be bothered to cut them the same width. They're all different. And then I just pinned a load, you know, 4, is it one? Yeah, along there and there. And then I plaited them, you know, or what, in and out. Reminded me when I was in junior school and we had that gummed coloured paper. And I wanted the blue and the pink. I wanted the blue and the pink. And I was last in line and I was saying, please don't choose the blue and the pink. And I got the blue and the pink. And I did it the blue and then wove the pink underneath. And I just remember, I love doing it. 2 pieces of sticky paper. And that's what I did with this fabric. Right, what else? Oh, I just got some English paper piecing bits. Put that on. Because I had some of the... I found a box of these. And I'd started making a, you know, a mat, another mat. But they were covered. And so I thought, well, I'll use those. So there's another. And I'm just using scraps for this. Okay. I'd made I think it's called House Steps. I'd been playing, you know, just to see if I did it a 1/4 of an inch, how it would be. So I had one of these just in the box, you know, things I'd been playing with. I thought, well, I'll use that up. And I found a piece of just enough similar material, and I quilted along those lines. Oh, there's the phone again. I'm back. That was the phone, yes. So here we are. So that was another one. Yes, I quilted along. Oh, look, I quilted along there. I don't know if you can see. Just to hold it in. Right. So here's another one. Now, in 1974, I had ME, and I discovered counted cross stitch. This is a Lanart. I did quite a few. I've done a big one with a bird table and other birds, but I gave this to my mother-in-law, and you know, it was on a decent size, and my father-in-law decided to cut it down because he had a small frame. And when they died, I obviously took it back, and I thought, well, what can I do with that? I didn't really want to put it in a small frame. So here we go. It's in the 5-inch. And shall I just zoom you in? So there we are. So again, it can be used, you know, all your odd little bits that you've made, you can use for this. Another one. I found, I think this is called apple core, and I just had those 4 made, you know, English paper piecing again. They were just in the box, and I thought, well, I'll put those on. My friend gave me this fabric, I think, and there we go. Ready-made, quilted, and it's no longer in the box, it's being used. It's that one. I thought I'm just going to start with a blank canvas. Let me go in. A blank canvas. And the blank canvas was this white piece of fabric. And I cut a circle. I didn't know what I was going to do. Honestly, I didn't. This is so unlike me. I always know what I'm going to do. I plan things out. I know what the end's going to look like. You know, this is so unlike me. I've just gone for it, and this is hopefully will show you that if you just go for it, something will turn up, something will happen, and you'll either like it or you don't. But the process, yeah, usually I'm a project maker, but this is a process. However, it's going to turn into a project, but because I never like to have things lying around idly. But I just cut a circle, and then I was just idly making the French knots, because it relaxes me doing French knots. So there I was, just doing the French knots. There was this little space in the middle, so I did a French knot with a line. Is it called a pistol? I think it might be, I'm not sure. But anyway, it's a French knot with a line, and then I sort of wove that piece of yellow up and over round after doing a little bit there. Well, I thought that looks a bit weird, very weird, but then I decided to do some petals. So I just did a zigzaggy line. I did a little stalk. There's a little stalk under there. And then it reminded me of my mum. Oh dear, you know, she was always so happy. What a lovely flower. And I just was sitting there thinking of all her kisses that she gave me over all the years. And so this took on meaning too. And so I came up and just got a little bit of her nightgown that the lace I'd cut off when I was clearing out. And that became one from my mum. Well, I didn't honestly know what I was going to do with that. It just developed. And that's interesting, isn't it, how things develop. Okay, a couple more develops. Pete was in a bit of a bad way in hospital, and we knew we had to do something. And I started here. It's not circles. Let me just go in. It's not circles. You just start off with 3 little stitches, and then you go round and round and round. So each one isn't a circle, it's a spiral. And I just sat spiraling. Oh, that's how I felt. And then managed to get the news that he could come home the next day. And so I then just stitched this heart around and wove a little piece of thread, can you see, around those stitches. And here we go. That's what that is. Started from nothing. Just a small scrap of fabric I had. And started stitching, see what comes. And that's what came. There's a few more. I decided I wanted to do some embroidery, but I couldn't be bothered or think about how to embroider, what to embroider. So I'd made some project bags with this fabric. Kim, my daughter, bought me the fabric, and I made some nice project bags with it. And I just had this scrap of fabric over, so I decided to, let me go in, see, there we are. I decided just to follow the marks on the chicken. So literally just following along, just doing some stitches there. Oh, just straight stitches there. And doing the colours that it was. And here we have it. I'm quite pleased with it. I like it. And I enjoyed doing it. That was the thing. And then, not quite the last, I love this fabric. I made a project bag with this fabric, and I only had bits. I mean, when I say bits, I mean bits. You can see. And so I literally laid them on a hexie. Oh, I found a hexie that I'd made just with plain linen on the back. It was just a plain linen cream hexie. I'd made half a dozen of them in the box. And cut that bit round, cut that bit along, cut that little bit there, you can see. And then again, did a spiral, went round and wove it through. And I like it. I like the look of it. And I've used up, and what would it be doing in the box? Just me taking it out and looking at the little mice. So there again. That's another one. I did quilt along here, yeah, every 1/4 of an inch or whatever. I don't go through to the back, but I do go through the wadding, just to give the background a little bit of texture. And then my last one that I've done is this one. Now, I did a Lynette Anderson cushion, and on the cushion was a washing line with 4 quilts hanging on it, actually. And I love doing them. So the other night we were watching, I don't know, something together, and I thought I'll do that Happy Sun, and that's easy, isn't it? Down we go. Just straight lines, few French knots, a little piece of I did it so it had a little bit of crease as if it was going in the wind. And there we have it. Another one. Now that's enough for the time being. I know what I'm going to do with them. I didn't want to put them all together like that. So I'll just show you something. It's just come in the post. I haven't opened it, but I know what it is. And I bought the 5 by 2.5. Let me take it out. beautifully packaged. And here we are. You cut your background fabric out of this piece. This you can put over your fabric to see what you're going to cut. And then you put it in here to fit exactly with your backing, and then turn your pieces, these bits over. That's how we did this before. I'm going to do something I've always wanted to do but never got around, and I thought this is the ideal situation. I've had this book for quite some time, Embroidered Country Gardens by Lorna Bateman, and it's absolutely beautiful. I have used, I've done a few little bits from it, but in the book she shows all the different stitches right the way through. You can see rather a nice lot. And then she does an A to Z of garden flowers, and all the way through all these different flowers. And I've been watching someone called Sarah Humphrey, and she has put up a plethora of videos. She is the most talented, lovely lady, and she shows you how to make everything so beautifully. And one of the things she shows you, even she's done a video on what needles to use and how to thread your needle, and it's really very comprehensive. She is a teacher, and she went to the Royal School of Needlework, I think, and she's been doing it for some years, but I've been enjoying watching her. And what she said is, if you're going to do something, have a practice. I suppose it's like when we do knitting, isn't it? Have a practice. We do our swatch. And so I'm going to do each one of these flowers, because it's going to be using a different stitch. I'm going to, before I make, in the back of the book, you can see she shows you how to put things together and how to make it. I have made some of them, but it's rather beautiful. This is what I've done on my macarons, and she gives you the patterns. But before we start, let's practice. So what I'm going to do is, with my 2.5 inch, I'm going to practice the flower, and that then will go in between my 5 inch. So I'm going to use it. That's going to take me a little while to practice. I'm not going to rush. And then I'm going to assemble it as a wall hanging. And yeah, I know what I'm going to call it, but we'll see when it's finished if I still go with that. And there again, it's nothing too big at the moment for me to cope with. It's using up fabric that I've got, using up my threads that I've got. And who knows, I might even carry on making some more of the 5 inch and let it grow. I'll see. But I do want to do some more of these ones, because I want to, as I say, make a table covering for this table. I hope it's encouraged you just to go for it. I didn't even know what I was going to do. And look, just a piece of fabric embroidered. I'm pleased with it. Oh, I didn't know where that one was going, but yeah, I like it. Using up things, making up things, using that side of my brain that's not, needed. It helps. Right, I'm going to say cheerio and pop back to the video and say cheerio on screen. I hope you enjoyed that little film of what I've been up to. So it's time to say goodbye now, and it's the second time I've had to record the goodbye because I got quite choked up because last video episode, you put so many lovely comments. I couldn't answer them. I was just too busy taking up and doing this, doing that. I just couldn't answer them. I put a little heart, and towards the end, I did answer the last few, but what a joy, what support, what absolute love has been poured out. And I do thank every one of you for that. And so thank you for joining me with this episode. And I'll see you when I can next make it. I hope it'll be soon. Yeah. Take care. Bye-bye.
It's good to relax.